Today we are going to do a city by the sea, and we are going to do it using a 1-point perspective. So perspective creates the illusion of space and depth on a flat surface. It makes your artwork look more 3D and more realistic. And we are going to have 1 point. It's going to be also our vanishing point, where things look like they are disappearing to that 1 point. So we are going to begin by making a big X on our paper. So I'm going to go from one corner of my paper across to the other corner, and I'm going to do the same over here to give it a big X. You can use a ruler, but as you can see, I am not using a ruler. It's okay if your line is not perfectly straight because they will get erased. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, going across, making sure to connect to each corner. So this right here is going to be our 1 point perspective, our vanishing point. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line right across, making sure to cross right there at our 1 point, okay? And that's going to be our horizon line, where the sky separates from the ground, or where the sky separates from the ocean. Because over here we're going to have the ocean, and over here we're going to have some really nice buildings. So this is going to be a road, and the road is going to look like it's vanishing because it's going farther and farther away. So I'm just going to darken this up a little bit so that you can see it on the screen. And the first thing I'm going to do to this road is I'm going to give it sidewalks on either side. So I'm going to come back to this point right here, and I am going to draw another line. And as this line gets closer to the bottom of the paper, closer to me, I want to make it look like it's getting wider. So I want this area to be wider than this area. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. As it gets closer to the bottom, it gets wider, because as things get closer to us, they get bigger. And to the sidewalks, I am going to add some lines in the sidewalk to make it look more realistic. And as the lines get farther away, the lines get closer and closer together. So down low, the lines are pretty far apart. And as they get further away from me, they get closer and closer and closer until they vanish. You can't see them anymore because they're so far away, they have vanished. And to the center of that road, we are going to make the lines to make sure cars know what direction to go in. So right next to that little vanishing point, I am going to draw a little line. And then as this line gets closer to me, what's going to happen? It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, because as things get closer to us, they look larger. Okay, so now it's time to create our buildings. So we're gonna make some buildings over here, and we're going to do the ocean side over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my biggest building first. So I am going to make a line, and this line is going to be a horizontal line, and it's gonna connect to that X that we first made. So I'm just gonna darken that up just a little bit. So we're gonna connect it to the X. So I'm gonna make a horizontal line off the edge of my paper, and it connected to that line right there. And I'm going to come straight down until I touch my sidewalk. And then to that line, I am going to come all the way to the end of my paper again. So it looks like one big rectangle. Okay, but now if we want this to be in perspective, and we want this building to look more 3D and more realistic, we need to make sure we use that vanishing point. So this line that we created is gonna guide us. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the top of my building, and I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna darken it up for you so that you can really see this. And then at the end of that line, I'm going to come straight down to my sidewalk again. So we have our first building. This is the front of our building right here on the sidewalk. This is the front, and this is the side of our building. And I'm going to keep doing that. And we can do buildings all the way until we get closer to that vanishing point. So again, I'm going to draw a line that connects to that X that we drew. And I'm gonna go straight down. And again, I'm going to draw a line. Now it's gonna connect to the building. So again, it looks like one big rectangle. And the vanishing point, I'm gonna use that line, and I'm gonna come back down again. And I'm gonna keep doing that. So now I'm gonna do another line. It's gonna connect to that X straight down, and then it's gonna connect to the building. and then the top of my building, and then straight down again. You can see how the buildings are getting smaller and they're starting to vanish. Eventually, you're not going to see them at all anymore. So I'm going to do another one. And you can keep going and going until there is no more room left to draw. Okay? So there you go. You have your buildings, and over here is going to be our ocean. So this line right here is actually going to be the line of our ocean. So right here, I want you to make a wavy line. And this is going to be the ocean. Now, since we have a sidewalk next to our ocean, we don't want to fall off the sidewalk and into the ocean. So we're going to make like a little rail, okay? Something that's going to protect us from falling into the ocean, like a little fence. So I'm going to go back to my vanishing point right here. And I am going to put my pencil right on that point. And I'm going to come all the way to the edge. And remember, as things get closer to us, they get wider and bigger. And I'm going to do the same thing one more time. So we made 2 more lines on this side. And now I'm going to make the posts that are holding that line. So I'm going to come right over here to my sidewalk, and I'm going to do a straight line, just like this. And another one this way, and another one straight down connecting to the sidewalk. So it's almost like a rectangle. And I'm going to keep doing that. And as they get farther away from me, they're going to get closer and closer and closer together. So I'm going to do another one here. And here. And you can make any kind of fence you like. And remember, as they get farther away, they are going to disappear, okay? So now we have our ocean, we have our sidewalk, we have our street, we have our buildings. And to these buildings, you can do whatever you want. You can add any kind of windows, any kind of doors, have fun with it, be creative. I'm gonna show you some examples of what I'm going to do. So when we go to do our first door, you have to always refer back to that one point, okay? So if I want my door, let's say I want it to be this tall right here, okay? I don't want to make it straight across because then it's not going to go with these angles. I'm going to go back to my point and I'm going to very lightly work my way out. And now I'm going to darken it up to make the top of my door and 2 straight lines going down. So there is my first door, and I can start to add details now, or I can start to add details after I have completed all my buildings. So let's say I want a window right here. Maybe I want a window to be from here to here. So if I know I want my window to be this tall, I want the height of my window to be that tall, I am going to again refer back to my point. So I'm going to come back to my point and I'm going to connect it to this. And I'm going to do the same thing here, making sure I always go back to that point. And the reason we do that is so that it gives us the right angles. So I'm going to darken this up. You can see how these angles are all coming into that vanishing point. That's why it's called a vanishing point, because all the lines on our paper are making their way to this one point right here. And all of these lines I'm drawing, I'm trying to draw them really, really light because they will be erased. And I could keep adding more and more windows. Let's say I want my window to be that height there. Again, I'm not going to make it straight. I have to come back to my vanishing point and draw very lightly. So my line needs to be like this. So this and this. And I could keep adding more and more windows. Again, maybe I want to do a different shape window. I can do a different shape window, but first I want to know the height. So maybe it starts here and it ends here. So again, I'm going to go back to my vanishing point. Okay, and maybe here I want to do a window that's curved. Okay, and I can add some lines inside. And I can add some more lines here. And now I can do some windows on the side. Now the windows on the side, they can be just like the side of the building. So you don't have to worry about these angles because it's the side of the building and we're looking at it straight on this side. So here you can just do any kind of windows you like. They can come off the edge of the paper. This could be a storefront. It could be any store you want it to be, maybe your favorite store. Mine is Target. Maybe yours is a game store. Maybe this is an outside mall. And again, you can add any kind of architectural details that you like. So maybe this door here is different. It's kind of got the shape of that. So again, I'm gonna go back to my vanishing point, making sure that my line always comes back to that point. And maybe this one's gonna be rounded, okay? And I can add some more details. As I work, I can add more and more details. Over here, I'm gonna make another window. Maybe like this. And again, you're gonna do windows on the side. And if you wanted to add rooftops, you could. For example, if I wanted to put a roof on top of this building so that it didn't look so square at the top, what I would do is I would find the top of the center of this line and just go straight up, and then I just connect it to each corner of the building. So it kind of makes it look like it's pointy at the top, okay? I can erase this line now, okay? And I can add some interesting lines here, maybe some lines going this way, and maybe this part of the roof, since it's a side, just goes straight across. And you can do that to each one of your buildings. You can add a rooftop to each one, okay? And more and more and more. And add any kind of details that you like. And just keep in mind that you want to work your way all the way down to this vanishing point. Now, since this is our ocean, we have the city here. Now I can erase all of those lines that guided us in the beginning. Okay, I had one here, which I already erased. And I am going to do a nice big sun setting. So I'm just gonna go across it like this. Beautiful city by the sea. You can give it some sun rays if you like. You can make it look like it's cloudy, and maybe your cloud goes in front of your sun a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe another cloud here. And you can even add birds if you like. Okay, so I just took my city by the sea and outlined it with a skinny black marker just so that you can see it a little bit better. You can see that I added just a few details, the address of the building. I added some doors, different types of doors all the way down the other buildings. I added a little flower pot to this little windowsill, different types of windows. Feel free to add whatever you like. You can have mailboxes, you can have big flower or planters out front, whatever you like. This is your city by the sea. Just make sure that you always refer back to your 1-point perspective, your vanishing point.